Readers. When you're studying topics that are as complicated as the ones you're investigating, thinking about how things are connected can get pretty interesting. One big way people think about how parts are connected is by thinking about cause and effect. Let me give you an example. In New York City, one thing people get really mad about is how the trains are late all the time. When people notice this happen, they tend to name and blame one cause. The state is not spending enough money on the subway system. It's easy to say, oh, this happened because of this one thing, or this caused this one thing to happen. Often, though, there's more to the story. Today, I want to teach you that cause and effect are rarely as simple as you first assume. That means that as readers, it pays to question cause and effect. When you notice a seemingly simple explanation, it can help to pause and think, what else might cause this? What else might happen as a result? Let's look at 3 ways that cause and effect got more complicated. Instead of thinking about one cause and one effect, you might notice that there are multiple causes or factors that all cause the same thing to happen. Or you might notice that one cause leads to different effects. One cause might affect one group of people one way and another group of people a totally different way. You might even notice that one cause has an effect that leads to another effect that leads to another effect, kind of like dominoes. Think with me about how the New York City subway situation might be more complicated than people assume. Let's ask, what else might cause this? What else might happen as a result? We can also ask, what might be some unintended causes? Well, when I've talked with people who work on the subway, they say that working to fix the subway creates all these other potential problems, all these other connected effects. For instance, to fix the L train, you have to shut down the subway line for 18 months. Now let's think about the effects that would result in a ton more riders piling onto the other trains in the area, which would slow those trains down, resulting in a ton more slowdowns and people being late to school and work. Do you see how one effect can lead to another and another, kind of like dominoes? Or I could complicate cause and effect by considering other possible causes. This time, we'll think about the delays as the effect. If I'm honest, it's not just lack of money that causes subway delays. People also throw a ton of trash onto the tracks, which causes fires and slows trains down. And people hold doors open on the subways to try and get all their friends on, which causes a ton of delays. Are you seeing how cause and effect can be super complicated and how it might be helpful to take a moment to think about, to jot down a kind of cause and effect map like this just to think through possibilities? Ready to give this a try with hidden figures? I'm going to read a scene from the book. Mary Jackson is another of the female scientists who worked at Langley. She was a brilliant mathematician and had impressed her boss so much that he recommended she apply to Langley's engineer training program. At the time, female African American engineers were very rare, but Mary wasn't going to let that get in her way. So listen to the scene where Mary's supervisor comes to talk to her about her application. A woman engineer. Mary Jackson was putting her math skills to good use in her new job. From the beginning of her assignment in the wind tunnel research section, Mary's new boss had shown Mary how to work the controls of their wind tunnel for their group, firing up the tunnel's roaring engine and positioning models in the test section. The research in her division was used to design missiles, which were of great interest to the United States government for their possible military use. In its final form, her work became the 1958 report co-authored with her boss, Effects of Nose Angle and Mach Number on Transition on Cones at Supersonic Speeds. Mary's new boss was so impressed with her work that he suggested she enroll in Langley's engineer training program. Her ability and passion were apparent, and she had a mentor, her boss, who believed in her. It didn't matter that Mary was black and he was white. It didn't matter that Mary was a woman and he was a man. It didn't matter that Mary was from the South and he was from the North. What mattered was that they both loved math and they both loved airplanes. He knew that Mary had the talent to be an engineer. At the time, there were very few white women who worked as engineers. The majority of Langley's female professionals, black and white, were still classified as computers or mathematicians. There simply weren't many female engineers anywhere in the country. At the time, most of the country's top engineering schools didn't accept women. The only female engineer at Langley in the mid-1950s was Kitty O'Brien Joyner. She had sued the University of Virginia in order to enroll in the undergraduate engineering school in 1939. There were also very few African American men who worked as engineers. Mary was on her way to becoming something even rarer, an African American woman working as an engineer. In 1952, Howard University had had only 2 female engineering graduates in the school's history. In fact, Mary was on track to become the first female African American engineer at Langley. Mary's boss put her on the engineering track and promised her a promotion when she successfully completed a few advanced math courses. When she went to enroll in her courses, the obstacle she encountered came not from her coworkers, but from the local high school. Before she could get any training, Mary had to get permission to enter Hampton High School. If she had been the janitor, she would have been welcomed. As a professional engineer in training, she had to petition the city of Hampton for special permission to attend classes in the whites-only school. Mary Jackson had to grit her teeth and take a deep breath before making the case to the school board that she could be allowed to attend the classes at Hampton High School. She reminded herself that she had a long-term goal, and she didn't want to get sidetracked, so she swallowed her pride and asked for permission, which the city of Hampton granted. Let's think about the fact that it's so difficult for Mary to get the training she needs and that she's qualified to do. It might be easier to say, the supervisor is getting in Mary's way. She's stopping Mary from getting her degree. Remember to think, could this be more complicated? What else might have caused this? What could happen as a result? I want you to pause the video and think about this for a minute. But first, I want to give you a tip that's really easy. When I'm trying to think about complex causes and effects, it helps if I keep asking why. In this case, why is it hard for Mary to get the training she needs? Readers, I think you're seeing that cause and effect is rarely simple. Even when it seems like something has one super obvious cause, it's usually more complicated than that. As readers, you've got to attend to those complicated parts, pausing to ask, could this be more complicated? What else might cause this? What else might happen as a result? So let's add this strategy to our anchor chart in your reader's notebook. Readers recognize the complexity of cause and effect. They ask, what else might cause this? Result from this? Are there unintended causes and effects that are less obvious? One cause can lead to one effect, which leads to another effect and another. One effect might have several causes that work together. Or one cause can lead to several effects. After you get this in your reader's notebook, go back to the lesson platform for your next activity, to read.